You've likely heard about Bitcoin, the groundbreaking digital currency that's been making headlines and sparking conversations around the world. It's a topic that's captured the imagination of tech enthusiasts, investors, and even those just curious about the future of finance. It's a digital currency making waves worldwide, challenging traditional notions of money and how it's controlled. Its decentralized nature sets it apart from conventional financial systems. But who's actually in control? This is a question that often arises when discussing Bitcoin. Who dictates its rules? Who ensures its security? Unlike dollars or euros, which are issued and regulated by central banks, Bitcoin operates under a completely different paradigm. There's no central bank or government behind Bitcoin, no single entity pulling the strings. This is a fundamental aspect of its design. There's no CEO, no executive suite where decisions are made behind closed doors. No headquarters, no physical location that serves as the central hub of operations, and no single leader to guide its direction or make unilateral decisions. This lack of authority is one of Bitcoin's most defining features, a core principle that underpins its entire existence. Money is built on trust, on the belief that it holds value and can be reliably exchanged for goods and services. So when a new form appears without familiar institutions, without the backing of governments or established financial entities, questions naturally arise. It's natural to ask, where does the trust come from? What mechanisms are in place to ensure its integrity and prevent fraud? Bitcoin was introduced in 2009, marking the beginning of a new era in digital finance, by the mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto, whose true identity remains unknown to this day, aiming for a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, a system that would revolutionize the way we think about online transactions. That means people transact directly, bypassing the need for traditional financial intermediaries. Without banks or middlemen, reducing fees and potentially speeding up transaction times. Control isn't concentrated in the hands of a few powerful institutions. It's distributed among users worldwide, creating a more democratic and resilient system. We're not looking for a person in charge because the very nature of Bitcoin defies that concept. We're examining a system, a complex and intricate network of technology, code, and human interaction. Technology, the underlying infrastructure that makes Bitcoin possible. Community, the diverse group of individuals who contribute to its development and maintenance. And incentives create order without a ruler, aligning the interests of participants and fostering a self-regulating ecosystem. This radical idea forces us to rethink what it means to have control over money, challenging our long-held assumptions about financial systems. To understand who, or what, governs Bitcoin, we need to delve into its inner workings and explore the various forces that shape its evolution. We need to see how it works piece by piece, examining the technology, the community, and the incentives that drive its unique form of governance. Let's embark on a comparative journey, exploring the contrasting landscapes of traditional money and the revolutionary Bitcoin. We'll delve into their core mechanisms, governance structures, and the underlying philosophies that drive them. Fiat currencies, the lifeblood of modern economies, exemplified by the US dollar, are meticulously managed by central banks. These institutions wield significant power, controlling the money supply, setting interest rates, and establishing the regulatory framework that governs financial activities. This centralized system, while often perceived as bureaucratic, offers a degree of stability, but it also carries inherent risks, like the potential for inflation, eroding purchasing power, or the possibility of restricted access to funds during economic downturns or policy changes. Ultimately, with fiat, you place your trust in people and institutions to act responsibly, to make sound decisions that safeguard the value of your money and the stability of the financial system. Bitcoin boldly flips this traditional model on its head. It's decentralized, meaning there's no central authority dictating its operations or controlling its destiny. Unlike fiat currencies, no single entity can create more Bitcoins at will, manipulating the supply for their own gain. The rules governing Bitcoin are meticulously set in open-source code, and the total supply is immutably capped at 21 million Bitcoins, ever. This predefined scarcity ensures that no individual or entity can unilaterally inflate the supply for their own benefit, potentially devaluing the holdings of others. With traditional money, you inherently trust people, the bankers, the regulators, the policymakers. With Bitcoin, your trust is placed in the underlying technology, the cryptographic math, and the immutable blockchain. The entire process is transparent and open to scrutiny by anyone with an internet connection. It represents a fundamental shift, moving away from reliance on human authority and towards a system governed by verifiable code and mathematical principles. This inherent difference doesn't automatically make Bitcoin perfect or superior, but it highlights a fundamentally different approach to value and trust. Bitcoin aims to replace central intermediaries, fostering a global, participatory network where transactions are validated and secured by a distributed community. So, if there's no central bank overseeing transactions, how does Bitcoin actually keep track of who owns what? How does it prevent fraud and ensure the integrity of the system? Enter the blockchain. This is the revolutionary technology that underpins Bitcoin and many other cryptocurrencies. Think of it as a public digital ledger, a shared record book that everyone can access. Imagine a giant spreadsheet of every single Bitcoin transaction that has ever taken place. Now here's the clever part. Copies of this ledger aren't stored in one central location. Instead, they are held by thousands of computers spread across the globe. Let's say Alice wants to send some Bitcoin to Bob. That transaction is then broadcast to the entire network of computers. These transactions are then grouped together into what are called blocks. These blocks are then rigorously verified by the network through a process called mining. Once a block is verified, it's added to the chain, hence the name blockchain. This process makes the record permanent, transparent, and virtually tamper-resistant. Each block contains a cryptographic hash of the previous block, effectively linking them together in a secure and chronological order. To alter any past transaction, you'd need an immense amount of computing power to recalculate all subsequent blocks. This makes fraudulent activity incredibly difficult, if not nearly impossible. The blockchain's inherent transparency and robust security features allow for trust to be established and maintained without the need for a central authority like a bank. Because it's a public ledger, anyone can view the blockchain and see transactions, although these transactions are linked to anonymous addresses rather than personal identities. This open, secure, and distributed record-keeping system is the very backbone of Bitcoin and its revolutionary approach to finance. The network's security and transaction processing are handled by miners. Miners use powerful computers to solve complex puzzles, a process called proof of work. The first to solve it adds the next block and earns new Bitcoins plus transaction fees. This reward system incentivizes miners to act honestly and secure the network. Miners are like decentralized administrators, but no single miner is in charge. Thousands compete globally, and fraudulent blocks are rejected by the network. Miners can't change the rules or block transactions unfairly. Their power is limited and checked by the consensus of the network. They maintain the ledger but don't control Bitcoin. If miners maintain the network, who writes the rules? Enter the Bitcoin developers. Developers propose updates and improvements to the open-source Bitcoin software. But they can't force changes. Adoption is voluntary and requires broad community support. If a proposed change isn't accepted, it simply fails. The wider Bitcoin community, users, miners, businesses, debates, and decides on changes. Major updates require consensus, making the process slow but democratic. Developers are like constitutional writers, but the people ratify the rules. Control is distributed both technologically and socially. Control of Bitcoin is intentionally fragmented among developers, miners, and users. Developers propose changes but can't enforce them. Miners secure the network but are bound by the software users run. If miners break the rules, users' nodes reject their work. Users, everyone from individuals to large exchanges, choose which software to run, giving them ultimate control. If miners and developers conspire against users, users can reject their changes, rendering them worthless. This is decentralized governance. No single group can seize power. Consensus and self-interest keep the system stable. Bitcoin is controlled by all its participants, not by any one entity. It's a revolutionary system of checks and balances enforced by code and community. Why does decentralized control matter? It gives users financial sovereignty, full control over their money. No bank can freeze your account, no government can seize your assets, and no company can block your transactions. For people in unstable or oppressive regimes, this is a lifeline. Bitcoin is global and permissionless. Anyone with internet can join. It enables fast, low-cost international payments, bypassing traditional banks. Bitcoin's fixed, transparent supply contrasts with fiat currencies, which can be devalued at will. It offers a neutral, predictable store of value. Whether Bitcoin becomes mainstream or not, it's changed how we think about money. Its legacy is proving that a secure global financial network can exist without a central leader.